Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Take a look at this thing. I've never seen anything like it, and neither have you. And yet, it says Gibson on the headstock. Is it real or not? Let's go ahead and find out. Okay, so this looks to me like somebody has blended a Les Paul Special and a DC Melody Maker. Those particular models, they look like this. So you can see the carve of the Les Paul Special's body, but then it's like they just cut it off right here. And then instead of actually rounding this off, they let it be like a heart shape right here in order to give it some more characteristic qualities of the body shapes that they started with. I'm sure you could say it's just a double special, that's all it is. You just have this weird double cut right here because of where the cutaway is blending in with the rest of the body, and you need access for this neck. But it just so perfectly matches this Melody Maker shape. Once again, they just kind of cut it off right here to make that heart shape, and then you have the rest of the contours on the body. Okay, so that's kind of a cool blending of guitars that I haven't seen before, but now let's look how it's laid out. We have this weird curved tailpiece on this one, kind of set a little farther back than most tailpieces. Maybe not as far back as the Jimmy Page spec EDS 1275, but I'm guessing it is all the way back here for a reason, because this is the 12-string neck. That's right, just like the 1275s, it's a 12 and a 6-string guitar. But continuing on here, it looks like we've got an ABR1 bridge on here. And instead of P90s, we actually have mini humbuckers on both necks. I don't think I've ever seen a quadruple equipped mini humbucker double neck guitar before. That's actually pretty cool. And pretty much the hardest part of blending instruments together is the fact that you have to create a new stylistic pickguard that makes sense. Now, do I agree that this one makes sense? I mean, it's functional, but it's kind of strange. Like, why do we have 3 toggle switches on this thing? Usually you only see 2. One of them selects which neck you're on, both left or right, and then the other one selects which pickup on that particular neck for both of them. So I'm guessing this one is actually wired up a little bit differently to the fact that you can choose 12-string, 6-string, or both of them on at the same time, and then independently choose which pickup you're on. So technically, your new tones you could get out of this is if both necks were on, you had the neck pickup here, bridge pickup there, or bridge pickup here, neck pickup there. So it's a little bit more tonally diverse than other ones. But then again, how often do you really need both necks on? Unless you're doing some ambient stuff or you're a Machamp. Okay, but back to that pickguard design. It's interesting. It's kind of like the special that we were looking at here, how it's got that kind of slanted cut in right here, but then it's just like all the way extended over here. But it's been a little bit thinned out in this area as compared to the original. I'm surprised they didn't leave it a little bit more full in this area. The whole style of that one reminds me more so of the DC specials that were done in the 60s. And as far as the rest of the controls, looks like volumes and tones depending on which neck maybe. So maybe master volume for that one, master tone, or I guess it really could be wired up anyway, I'm not sure. And then to make it even more different, despite having all this room on this body, they wanted it to make it a true special. So they left it be a wrap tail, but it's also intonatable. So that's kind of an interesting spec. I'm sure they would have left the 12-string as a wrap tail as well, but they just decided it's not worth it. It's not worth it. We had just reviewed the 12-string Les Paul not too long ago, and some guys were saying, hey, you can make it even more slinky if you want to by top wrapping all the strings. It's like, I don't want to do that for 12 strings. I find it funny that guitarists, they're so adverse to restringing 12 strings or doing any modifications to them when it's really only like doing 2 guitars. And if somebody said, hey, can you restring me these 2 guitars? I wouldn't shy away in fear, but a 12 string, it's just so intimidating. Mainly because you have to ensure both sets of strings are perfectly in tune or else the thing doesn't sound right. I'd still rather do a 12 string than a Floyd Rose. So now let's flip over to the backside. Okay, I guess I didn't know what I was really expecting here. A week or 2 ago, we were talking about some interesting double necks as well, and I had said I've never seen a pickguardless double neck before from Gibson. And somebody astutely pointed out in the comment section that, that's because, it's a little bit hard to do the routings from the back. It would look ugly. And ugly it is, but it would be kind of interesting to still see that double neck. I think they could get away with it. It just might be a little bit harder for them to produce, as if they weren't hard enough. But anyways, we've got 3 mini circles on here and then like a regular Les Paul style switch that encompasses into that as well. That's kind of cool. I like how that screw is securing 2 plates at the same time. Nice. And it looks like somebody actually played this thing a little bit, or it just got dinged up going from place to place. That almost looks like is it Gretsch that uses a strap button like that? Where you like unscrew it and then screw it down into the body? That's kind of interesting. But the whole thing is done up in a pure white. But they're saying this thing is from 1975, so you think it would have aged a bit. But now we get onto the headstock. So this 12-string one has these weird crack lines right here. And according to the seller, those are not actually like break cracks or repairs. It's a witness line as to how this neck was created. So it seems like they took an existing neck and they just kind of cut a channel in an L shape and then added on the rest of the headstock. So you might be saying, that's not how Gibson does it, is it? No, it's not. This is not an original Gibson creation. This is actually where the story gets a little bit deeper and interesting. The rest of the title of this is 1975 Strings and Things Memphis 612 Double Neck Les Paul Jr. 1 of 1 C original ad. And they're wanting $8,000 for it. So at first I thought this was just a weird custom at home type job because it doesn't look professional enough to be Gibson in my eyes. And the logos looked a little bit weird to be from 1975. But when the original ad was mentioned, and then I looked, I was like, oh, I have seen this before. I just didn't realize it. So Strings and Things, they are responsible for like the very first burst reissues. Like they actually made counterfeit Les Pauls that were like straight up Gibson, and then they would also work with Gibson. Sometimes they would get unfinished guitars and then finish them themselves. They're very well known for doing modifications for many of different artists. And they used to do the "we stand behind what we sell" type advertisements in the 70s and 80s. And, you know, this is what they look like. I just found these on the internet. And yeah, sure enough, there is that exact guitar in one of their advertisements, shielding their manly bits. Now, whether that makes the guitar more or less valuable, I'll leave that up to you. But this appears to have been in an advertisement where they're saying, hey, we have done modifications for all of these guys right here. How about we do it for you? So this must have been a blending of guitars, or there's just a custom build by themselves. I mean, you can see they were pretty popular for doing the double cut Les Pauls. Now, they didn't do my double cut Gibson, but you can check that video out right here. And it looks like the other one in this advertisement is just some sort of a Gibson Firebird. So, okay, it's all starting to make sense now. It's got the Strings and Things heritage to it. It was in a vintage advertisement. They're calling this a Rockstar caliber piece, and I kind of agree with them. There is a cult following of Strings and Things guitars within Gibson lore, especially their 59 reissues that they did. So I really don't think $8,000 is too crazy if it's to the very right buyer. I would be really interested to know what this actually started life as. Like, was this a real Les Paul special, or was this a real double cut melody maker? Or is it just something that they created themselves? Looking in the cavities, it doesn't quite look Gibson to me, but once you've modified something so much, it kind of, shades the actual history of the thing. But that's definitely some wiring going on there. I certainly wouldn't want to have to make sense of that if something went wrong. But that's really cool that they have the original advertisements and stuff. But the fact that they have this weird L-join type thing makes me believe this started life as something, whether it was an actual Gibson or something they built or a knockoff of some sort. They just ended up putting the Gibson name on it. And interestingly enough, they have a star. So there is a really rare model that has only been rumored to exist called the North Star. I thought it was a Les Paul. Pretty much the only thing that's supposed to be special about it is it has a star inlay on the headstock. I've asked a bunch of top vintage dealers about this thing, and I have yet to find a single person who's had a photo of it or even knows anything more, but has only been whispered rumored online. Now, some of the map guitars, I believe they had a star inlay like this. But seeing that star made me think, is this the North Star? I don't think it is, though. But it's cool to see that, because that's that one elusive beast that, it's even more elusive than an original Modern. But the inlays have been changed on this too. So it looks like they started life as a circle, but they filled it in and then did like a makeshift star out of mother of pearl or pearloid. I can't quite tell from this photo. So yeah, what an interesting piece of not necessarily Gibson history, but at least Strings and Things history. And I think that's iconic enough that this will fall into somebody's collection. It would be a cool guitar to document, but other than what I've just told you, I don't have too much more to say. Even if I had the guitar in my hands, I probably wouldn't be able to say, oh, this was a blah, 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 blah. It's been modified too much. Speaking of modified too much, check out this Les Paul. I saw this on a Facebook group, and I kind of fell in love with this. Like, I don't expect everybody to like this. It kind of gives me Antigua vibes. You're either going to dig this or you're going to hate it. But this apparently started life as a Gibson Les Paul Studio. And at first, I thought this was like actual green binding, but then when you get to that side profile shot, no, all they did was paint that on, but it looks so good. Like, it has the same binding effect without, being over the top. All they're missing is like a couple of black lines running down it, almost pinstripe-esque. But they really decked this thing out with a golden Bigsby Vibramate unit. You've got a Nashville-style bridge. You've got the golden toppers to the pickup rings, the golden pickup covers. Looks like a bracketless white pick guard. All they're really missing here is a roller bridge on this thing to be really crazy. I mean, they even have the very tall gripped speed knobs. I believe those were from 2014. But then you flip it over to the backside, and it looks like he shaved a really big belly cut into this thing and gave it the access heel carve. I'm not sure if this started life as one of the high performance studios. I didn't read that much into the post. So maybe that was already here, maybe not, but that's definitely been added. Kind of makes the back look a little bit blocky. Okay, there we go. It was a 2019 model. It looks like he upgraded it with hip shot locking tuners. And I just thought this thing was worthy of sharing. It looks like the gloss finish was pulled off excellently. Even the trapezoid inlays had been upgraded with mother of pearl. So nice job, Wesley. I got freaked out a little bit. I saw the strings and I was like, oh my goodness, is this a strings and things modification too? No, apparently he's the head luthier at the Strings of Reno. So you can check them out on Facebook, but it looks like they do custom modifications, and that was a particularly cool one. All right, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.